Hello, and welcome back. In this video, we will go through two detailed advanced installations of Windows Server 2022. One installation will cover Windows Server with the desktop experience. The other installation will cover Windows Server without the GUI, also known as Server Core. Since Server Core is a minimal installation without the desktop experience, all administration must be accomplished through a command prompt, a PowerShell session, or via GUI tools from a remote system. These installations will simulate installing Windows Server 2022 on physical server hardware that is commonly found in data center racks. In this case, the hardware is a 1U rack-mounted server with 10 hard drives and a 2U external rack-mounted direct attached storage unit with 16 drives. For the simulation, we're using Windows Hyper-V, where each virtual server will be configured with 4 processing cores, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 2 network adapters, a 500 gigabyte operating system drive simulating 2 500 gigabyte disks configured using hardware provided RAID 1, a 6 terabyte data drive simulating 8 1 terabyte disks configured using hardware provided RAID 5 with a hot spare, a 64 terabyte data drive simulating 8 terabyte disks and RAID 6 with 2 hot spares and an external SAS enclosure. The first 5 screens for installing Windows Server 2022, Desktop Experience, and Server Core are the same, therefore we can cover them once as they are pretty straightforward. Select your region and click Next. Click Install Now. Select the desired server edition. Read the license terms, check the checkbox, and click Next. Since these are new installations, click Custom. Select the 500 gigabyte drive, since this will be our operating system drive. However, there may be cases where the internal SAS RAID adapter to which the physical drives are connected are not recognized by the installation routine. Therefore, you will see a screen where no drives are present, even though you can see that hard disks are physically installed into the server. In this case, you have to manually install the SAS RAID adapter drivers since they are not included with the Windows installation routine. Download the driver from the manufacturer's website. It is important to note that the driver must be expanded to where the operating system can read the INF file that contains the driver descriptions and instructions. Having the driver encased in an exe or a zip file will not suffice. Click Load Driver. The expanded driver must be on a CD, DVD, or a USB drive formatted with a file system that is readable to the Windows installation routine. Click Browse and navigate to the drive where the driver is located. You must navigate to the actual folder location of the INF file. Unfortunately, the Windows installation routine will not recurse through subdirectories. Select the appropriate driver and click Next. Once the driver is loaded for the SAS RAID controller, the connected drives will appear. If you have more than one SAS RAID controller, you can load the driver by repeating the steps. If the drives show an offline type, click the caution triangle followed by OK to bring the selected drive online. Click Next to start the installation. Assign a strong password to the local administrator account and click Finish. Log in. After login, Windows Server will automatically load up Server Manager with a small dialog box prompting the user to download and install Windows Admin Center. We will cover Windows Admin Center in a later video, so for now, click the Do Not Show Me This Message Again checkbox and close the dialog box. Server Manager is the main interface that we will use to configure the server. It can also be used as a central interface to manage domain join servers remotely, which we will cover in a later video. To start the configuration of the server, click Local Server on the left pane. Click Time Zone to set your date, time, and time zone. Click the link next to Remote Desktop. Select the Allow Radio button and click OK at the dialog box. Keep the checkbox checked for enhanced security. Click Computer Name to rename the computer. At the Systems Property dialog box, click Change. In the Computer Name field, type a meaningful name. This name is called the NetBIOS name and it cannot exceed 15 characters. Click OK and restart when prompted. This server, like most, has dual network adapters. Therefore, we're going to configure what is known as a NIC team, where we will aggregate the two network adapters to increase performance and reliability. With Server Manager open, click Local Server on the left pane. You will see settings for NIC teaming, Ethernet, and Ethernet 2. Click the link next to NIC teaming to begin the configuration. Click Task in the Teams area and select New Team. Give a meaningful name to the team and select the NIC adapters that will be members. Expand additional properties to see additional settings. Click OK. If one or more of the NICs show a fault, be patient as it will automatically fix itself. Under Adapters and Interfaces, click the Team Interfaces tab. Right-click the team and select Properties. We're not going to make any changes, but you can see where there's a MAC address assigned to the team. You can also assign a VLAN ID if necessary. Click Cancel. Back at the Server Manager local server screen, click the refresh circle to reflect the updated server status. Click the link next to the team to configure the IP address. At the Network Connection window, you will see 3 network adapters, 2 adapters that represent the physical NICs, and an adapter to represent the NIC team. On one of the physical adapters, right-click and select Properties. You will notice the adapter only has the Microsoft Network Adapter Multiplexer Protocol selected. For the team to work correctly, do not set the IP address for any physical adapter that is a member of a team. Click Cancel. On the adapter representing the team, right-click and select Properties. It is here where we will set the IP address. Select TCP/IP v4, click Properties, and enter the IP address information. Click OK, followed by Close. You may see this sidebar that asks if you want to allow your PC to be discovered by other devices. For a server in a corporate or enterprise environment, click No. Verify network or internet connectivity. Close Network Connections window. There are 4 ways to configure drives. 1. Using disk management. 2. Using Server Manager, File and Storage Services. 3. Using PowerShell. And 4. Using the DISKPART utility. With the desktop experience, we will use Disk Management to configure the 6 TB drive and Storage Services to configure the 64 TB drive. Right-click the Windows Start flag and select Disk Management. The unprepared disk will have a black bar at the top. First, bring the drive online by right-clicking the area that reads Disk 1 and selecting Online. Initialize the disk by right-clicking the area that reads Disk 1 and selecting Initialize Disk. Since the drive is larger than 2 TB, we have to use a GPT partition style. Click OK. In the blank area under the black line, Right-click and select New Simple Volume. Click Next. To use the maximum capacity, click Next. Assign a drive letter or mount the drive to an empty NTFS folder. The latter option is similar to how a disk is mounted to a folder in Linux. Click Next. The drive can be formatted as exFAT, NTFS, or REFS. We're going to select NTFS. Assign a volume label. Click Next, followed by Finish. Close Disk Management. To see the details of the newly created 6 TB disk, open Windows Explorer and click This PC. Right-click the 6 TB drive and select Properties. Close when done. To mount the disk to a folder, select Mount in the following empty NTFS folder and click Browse. Navigate to the folder where you want the disk mounted and click OK. Click Next, followed by Finish. After the disk is finished formatting, open Windows Explorer, click This PC, and open C Drive. Navigate to the folder where the disk is mounted. You will see how the icon appears different and the size will reflect the actual size of the mounted disk. Notice how the path namespace is contiguous. In Server Manager, click File and Storage Services. Click Disks. Select the 64 TB disk, right-click and select Bring Online, and click Yes. Right-click the 64 TB disk again, select Initialize, and click Yes. Right-click the disk and select New Volume. At the New Volume wizard, click Next. Confirm the information, click Next. Adjust the volume size if necessary. To use the maximum capacity, click Next. As with disk management, assign a drive letter or mount the drive to an empty NTFS or REFS folder. Click Next. Here, the drive can be formatted only as NTFS or REFS. This time, we're going to select REFS. Assign a volume label. Click Next, followed by Create. Close the New Volume wizard when completed. Open Windows Explorer to see the drives. Right-click each drive and select Properties for more details. Press Ctrl-Alt-Delete to unlock. Select OK to assign a strong password to the local administrator account. Type the password and hit the Tab key to retype and confirm. Hit the Enter key when complete. Select OK. After login, Windows Server will automatically load the sconfig text user interface. sconfig being short for Server Configuration. To start the configuration of this server, select option 9. Set your date, time, and time zone. Select option 7. Type E to enable remote desktop. Type 1, followed by Enter. Select option 2. Type a meaningful name not to exceed 15 characters. Hit the Enter key and type Y to reboot the server. As with the desktop experience, we're going to configure a NIC team to aggregate 2 network adapters. However, since there's no GUI, we have to use PowerShell. At sconfig, select option 15. Type Get Net Adapter and note the adapter's name under the Name column. To create a new NIC team, use the New Net Lebfo Team commandlet. Type Y or just hit Enter to confirm. Type Get Net Adapter to see the 2 physical NICs and the newly created NIC team. To assign an IP address to the NIC team adapter, pipe the newly created NIC team adapter via Get Net Adapter to the new net IP address commandlet. The dash prefix length parameter is specified in SATA notation. Setting it to 24 is the same as setting the subnet mask to 255.255.255.0. To set DNS servers, use the Set DNS Client Server Address commandlet. If using multiple DNS servers, separate them with a comma. Verify IP settings with ipconfig/all. Check network or internet connectivity. The steps outlined above can also be accomplished on servers with a desktop experience and on Windows 10 or Windows 11 client computers. At SConfig, select option 15. We're going to use the DISKPART utility to configure the 6 TB disk and PowerShell commandlets to configure the 64 TB disk. Type DISKPART to enter the utility environment. List disk to get the number of the disks to be configured. Select disk 1. Online disk to bring the disk online. Convert GPT. Since the disk is over 2 TB, it had to be a GPT partition style. Create partition primary. List partition to verify the partition is created and selected. Format FS equals NTFS, label equals 6TB-data-NTFS, quick. Assign letter equals S. Exit to exit the DISKPART utility. Using PowerShell to configure the 64 TB disk. Get disk to get the number of the disk to be configured. Set -disk -number 2 -is offline $false to bring the disk online. Initialize -disk -number 2 -partition style GPT to initialize the disk and set the partition style to GPT. New -volume -disk number 2 -file system REFS -friendly name 64 TB -data REFS drive letter T. When completed, type get disk to verify the overall status, size, and partition styles. Type get volume to see the drive letters, labels, file systems, and remaining disk space. Bonus tip: to see the disk via GUI with Server Core, open Notepad. Go to File, Open, and select this PC on the left pane. Scroll down to see the 6 TB and 64 TB drives. Right-click each and select Properties. After the server is set up, you may notice you cannot ping it from another computer. That's because Windows Server's firewall, by default, blocks ICMP echo request messages, pings. We can modify the firewall via Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security or via PowerShell. At the server, with the Server Manager open, click Tools and select Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security. Click Inbound Rules. Scroll down to Core Networking Diagnostics, ICMP Echo Requests, ICMP v4n. Expand the field if necessary. Right-click ICMP v4n and select Enable Rule. Close Windows Defender Firewall. For Windows Server Core, the firewall has to be configured via PowerShell. At SConfig, select Option 15. Use the Get Net Firewall Rule commandlet to get the rule name and status. Use the Set Net Firewall Rule commandlet to enable and allow inbound ICMP traffic. From a client computer on the same subnet, ping your server via the server's IP address. Use the -4 parameter to force ping to use IPv4. Using Server Manager, on the left-hand pane, click Local Server. Click Windows Update. Click Advanced Options. In some situations, you may want to select Receive Updates for other Microsoft products when you update Windows. Adjust other options as required. Click the back arrow in the upper left to return. Click Check for Updates. For Server Core, at the sconfig home screen, enter number 5. Choose your option as required. Back at sconfig home screen, enter number 6. Choose your option as required to immediately check for updates. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something new, and found it helpful. If so, please like, subscribe, and share with those close to you. I welcome your feedback. Please leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts or suggestions. And thank you for watching.